So I'm sitting here with Heith Martin at one of my favorite pubs, restaurants, hangout spots in all of Kelowna. Heith and his partner, Amanda Stedman, engineered, designed, and built FSH from the ground up, and it's amazing. One of the things I love about this place is the cozy atmosphere. It's small enough that the staff get to know you pretty quick, and they will call you on a first-name basis once you've come in a time or two, and you get to know regulars the same way. It's really my perfect kind of place to drink or socialize. My apartment used to be just up the street, and my office was just down the street, so we used to joke and call this my branch office because I would often meet clients here for lunch or to have a drink or celebrate closing a deal. So it's also a great place to meet with your clients. I want to talk to Heith about his experience as a restaurant owner here in Kelowna. First of all, Heith, thank you very much for coming on the show today. I know you're an extremely busy guy with everything you're doing, and I really appreciate your time. Heith, why don't you fill in some of the gaps about yourself? Tell us where you grew up, how long you've been in the restaurant business, and how you ended up in Kelowna.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. Well, I come from Regina, Saskatchewan. I was born and raised there, so I was 28 years old. I started in the restaurant business, I would say probably, I think I was probably 16 years old. Boston Pizza, dishwasher, delivery driver, which is a pretty great job. So I really started from the ground up, washing dishes, competition to see if I could get all the dishes done before I get my next delivery out. From there, went to the nightclub industry, which again I was a busser. That we grown big in Saskatchewan, so coming right out of high school, I wasn't the size I am now. So the guys ahead of me were quite a bit larger and tougher, and so I was a busser. And I remember the significant story in my learning of the industry. The back door, we ran. The dishwasher was broken in upstairs, so we had to wash dishes downstairs. There was a 2-level bar, so I grabbed the glasses, washed them, went up the stairs the back way, and the door was locked. So I left leave the glasses on the stairs. Oh, jeez. Thinking, it's the back way, right? And go up around to unlock the door. While in the meantime, the doorman threw a guy out and kicked all the glasses down the stairs. Wow. Yeah, so needless to say, that was a learning experience. That was one of my lesser moments. But from the...
So what happened? Did you get fired?
No, I didn't. I got talked to. I was a fairly... I guess I was a good asset to the company because I brought lots of people in. I knew lots of people. I've always known lots of people in Regina. So from there, started when I kind of finished my university days in the States. I came back up, went to university in Regina, and needed a part-time job during school. So I got as a doorman. I had my time in the bar scene, battling and fighting, and then just made a natural progression into being a doorman, and worked the door at Checkers nightclub in Regina for, I'd say, like 4 or 5 years. I ran the door there, which gave me the knowledge. Me in anything I do, I watch what the leaders do, what's going on, how the business is operating, and just really dove into that. Started doing some fundraising for some sports teams. Doing cabarets, which is just kind of a big party in Saskatchewan. We call them cabarets. We just rent out a hall, charge money to come in, have a DJ sell booze. And we were doing this, and we were making a killing. And we just thought, hey, maybe we should open a nightclub. Right. And we did. 4 or 5 bouncers. We partnered up. We built the nightclub from the ground up and opened it up. That was in 2001. In the meantime, coaching basketball, coaching football, giving my time back to the community. Never a paid position, always volunteer. Got to know a lot of people. So But yeah, then we had the nightclub, my first nightclub. Then after a year, we bought a building and did a second nightclub, which was in my business kind of experience was a stupid thing to do. We bought everything cash, paid for the building cash, paid for all the equipment, everything brand new, right? Because our first nightclub was like, go to the auction, get used, So now we had the cash, so it was just like, new this, new that. And to do it again, no, I don't. Go to the auctions, lease some stuff, right? So, because we ended up selling that building because it was actually in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, and Moose Jaw built a new arena, which was right on the plot of that. So we sold the land back to the city, and moved on. And that was right about the time where I moved out here, more so to kind of get a change. My oldest daughter's grandparents lived out here. It was like, hey, come out here for the construction, yada, yada, yada. And I actually opened Western Pizza out here in Rutland without booze, another mistake. And I wanted to be downtown. Franchise wanted to be in Rutland, which is a blue-collar neighborhood, which is their model, right? Their model is to go into the blue-collar neighborhoods because that's who orders the pizza, right? Which is kind of like, it's a little bit weird of a demographic to pinpoint on, but, I love pizza. I'm a blue-collar guy, so I guess it fits, right? So we went up there. I would have much rather been downtown for the flow of traffic in the summertime and getting the name out because you can deliver to anywhere. Right. Little less of a market research, 2-for-1 town. That isn't a 2-for-1 pizza. And, had my struggles, but, always ran it. We would break even and turn a little bit of a profit. I think with booze, we would have been a little bit better, but ended up selling it because the construction industry was booming, and I had a second job because I had a young family, and it was just booming. I started to go off on my own and do framing and building and that sort of thing. So,
tell us a little bit about how you got into construction, because that's one of your talents as well.
Yeah, so I started construction. The first time I started construction, I'd say I was in grade 6. Build a fort. You build a fort in your backyard. And I'm not a guy where it's like, oh, let's grab the cardboard box and like playing. I had the wood. I actually had the luxury of having a neighbor beside me who was in the construction industry, and he had a lot of extra wood, like just scrap wood. So I literally took like the scrap wood and built like a fort. Then my next project was half pipe. I was a skateboarder when I was a kid, and kind of got ditched one day by my friends, and I stayed home and I built a half pipe, which later on in life learned that it's one of the more difficult things to do as a circular staircase and that sort of thing. But my neighbor helped me out, gave me some scrap pieces of wood. I built it all. Then Dad came home and saw that I had the structure built and had to buy me the plywood for the actual surface, right? But then moving forward, literally it was, doing some odd renos here and there, mostly decks and fences. But going forward, it was building the bar. Right. Then after we built the bar, everybody literally that knew we built it was like, hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do that? You do this. So it just kind of, and the nightclub industry is at night. So during the day, and we were 3 nights a week in our heyday, so you're bored. And, you're literally bored. And for me, I'm just not one to sit around. So we started a construction company and just did garages and decks and fences, small houses. So
you were doing the pizza in Rutland. You sold the property back to the city, and you got into construction, right? Yeah. How long did that last, and how did you end up here at FSH?
Well, first, we sold the property back to the city in Moose Jaw. So then I came out to Kelowna, leased a space up in Rutland, ran that for about a year, and I could see that it was a mom and pop place, and to put a lot of time and effort into it. And after rolling into town, put all my money into that, so it was kind of a little bit cash poor, right? So construction was the way to go, and I got into construction, started building homes. A friend of mine from Regina invested in me. We started doing spec homes. Spec homes went into We did some commercial. At one point, I had 41 guys working for me. Did Summerland Resorts, did a retirement home in Penticton, did a big condo development in Summerland, up in Kettle Valley, did the shopping center, the exterior. I built Carl's Jr. on the highway, which has since closed, but redid that in 13 weeks from old Burger King to new Carl's Jr. Basically, construction was my thing. Then I went back to Regina in 2011 to build a pub for some friends of mine. Went there, built that, took my custom beliefs in custom homes into the commercial aspect of it, and that's kind of what set me apart. So I built that one, which had a lot of the BC flair to it. So the big beams, big timbers, wood accents, huge bar, all wood, butcher block. And I built that, and literally, like a domino effect, just job after job after job after job. I went crazy for 3 years there, building it. And in the meantime, as I was building these restaurants and other hospitality establishments, I got into a couple of them. Took some in lieu of pay, some percentage for a bit. That one I sold out of, or just kind of took the cash in the end, and then bought into a place called Rock Creek Tap and Grill, which is a little franchise in Saskatchewan, which has 2 locations in Regina, 1 in Moose Jaw, 3 in Saskatoon, 1 in Lloydminster, and now I think 2 in Winnipeg. Right. So I built the one in the north end, was a partner in it, still is a partner in it. But it was franchisey, right? Not enough. I've been doing this. I've been selling booze for money since I was 23 years old. Wow. So 42. Yeah, so it's like, I got some great ideas, and I can't implement them. So I started looking in Kelowna. I want a little pub, a little hole-in-the-wall pub, like I used to go to, like, in Montana, and when we'd take the boys down there for basketball. So I started looking on the internet and found this place.
This place, before you started, it was just a dusty kind of box, right? They put this addition on the building, but it didn't look like this. I mean, it was just a pile of dust with some windows. Tell us about the concept here and some of the ideas you got along the way to make it.
This place, what really turned my eye to it was the windows and the fact that you could have a patio as big as we do, right? So I showed it to Amanda. She didn't really like it because it didn't have the finished stucco on the outside. It was Cindercrete still. Right. And it was cement, and then I think there's a little bit of Cindercrete block on the one side. And couldn't see it. Some people can't see things, right? So we came, looked at it, and it was literally empty in here. Did the measurements. I took the measurements, and then I put them into my program to design it and laid everything out. And it's actually crazy how much the original design looks like this. Same with the booth color, everything. Just put everything worked. The kitchen was tight. I knew that. But yeah, then just came in and built it up. But our concept really was we wanted to look like we've been here for a long time. Old brick. We took old brick from a 25-year-old building in Vernon, put it on the walls, roughed it up so it looked like it was original. Lots of wood accents, timbers. We did kind of a cement tile-looking floor to tie in with the cement that's in the building already, right? A wood bar top. I burnt it up so that it looks pretty rustic. And just went from there. Did the cobblestone brick on the brick look on the patio, right, just to kind of give it that big city, old kind of Boston feel, right?
When did you get started with the construction, and how long did it take, and when did you finally open?
I think we started construction in the first week of October in 2014. And so we started then. It was the weekend of the BMO 10K run. And usually a 5,000 square foot restaurant will take me 4 months. We opened in February. So that's a little bit more than 4 months, and this is a little less than 5,000 square feet. A lot less. Right. But, Kelowna is a little bit different on how people necessarily work. So I had to kind of take that into account. Plus, I was doing a project in Regina. So I was 1 week there and 1 week here, all the way until December. December 15th is when I finally started coming and doing full-time here. So
how did you come up with the name FSH?
Oh, it's too funny. McGreevy's Pub actually had a posting couple of weeks ago for the Cask and Flanken bar outside of Fenway Park, right when you come out of the Bleacher Bar in Fenway Park. So we were down in Boston, kind of as a leisure trip, but also looking for some ideas for pubs. Came out, we went to the Red Sox game, we're in the Bleacher Bar with some friends, walked out of the Bleacher Bar, and we had been tossing around names. We were trying to figure out a name for this place. Come out of the Bleacher Bar, and Cask and Flanken is there, and I said, let's call it Flask. She's like, how did you get that? And I was just like, that's fine. I don't know. Cask and Flanken, FL, and the ASK. And I don't know how I came up with that. I guess the wonders of alcohol when you're that many deep. But yeah, so then it was Flask Social House to kind of add in this day and age, everybody needs a new little trendy name behind it to make it popular, right? Yeah. So we came, Flask Social House was the original name. But because we're food primary, we can't use, which is, I think, is pretty stupid. You can't use something that makes reference to alcohol in your name, which they say flask is. But if we all look in the dictionary, the first definition of flask is a chemistry beaker. And so I was going to argue it and debate it, but you don't want to kind of piss off the powers that be, right? So I asked them, we were going to put FSH on the north side or south side of the building as the abbreviations to Flask Social House. So I said, can we call it FSH? So yeah, sure. So that's how we came to FSH. So
I'm a big fan of personal transformation stories. You're a successful businessman. You're highly skilled in carpentry and construction trades and running a bar business, obviously. Were you always the exact same person? Or is there a story from your past that if we went in a time machine, we saw you, be kind of surprised? It's hard to believe that's Heith because you've changed in some significant way.
I think it's going to be kind of boring, I guess, because I have always been the same person, always driven, entrepreneurial, a leader, always in sports, coaching, that sort of thing. My ideas, I came up with the nightclub. I pushed for the nightclub. We had a lot of trouble in Regina getting the nightclub because we were kind of on the borderline of a residential area. I think the biggest thing for me, the biggest transformation is figuring out I don't need a partner, per se, as far as someone that is out of my wheelhouse, not directly kind of with me, you know what I mean? I usually had friends, so we're my business partners, and it always ended, terribly, right? The friendship would go, nobody could disassociate that, right? So that was kind of a big hurdle to get over, is somebody that is outside of your kind of community, right? Your little circle, having them as partners. Now knowing that I don't need them because I was always doing the work. I always put in the work, put in the time because I care, right? So that was that's a huge thing, and that's been in the last, I guess 5 or 6 years that I've come to realize that. So yeah, so that was a pretty big transformation to you always want to talk to buddies, your good buddies. Oh, let's open a business together. It'd be so great, Well, no, it's not great because it's great when it's great, but it's not so great when it's not great. So,
when I ran businesses in the past, I always had a feeling like nobody works as hard as I do, and I would kind of subconsciously keep track of how much work I was doing and how much work everybody else was doing, and kind of built up a little resentment. Is that similar to what you're talking about? Like you feel like you're the hardest working person in the room?
in my construction days with the partners that I had, definitely was always and I wouldn't say so much resentment. After the fact, there was resentment. Oh, am I ever stupid? That sort of thing. You live and you learn, and you need to actually look at people's kind of their scope of work, what they can take on, how they care, what they feel, what they think, that sort of thing. In this place, and in the bar industry in general, you definitely have to get a good group of people together that you can rely on. Amanda runs the stuff during the day. She would run the stuff during the day. And do that sort of thing. So it was a nice mix because obviously I work during the day. I still like to work and do construction. So then I'd come in at the nighttime and talk to the regulars, touch some tables, that sort of thing. And you definitely have to count on some people to pick up the slack and also be able to ask for things. That's a big thing, whereas some people don't know how. And I didn't know for years how to just say, I need you to do that.
Right.
Or you're just like, I don't think he can do it or she can do it, so I'm going to do it. And then I'm just like, they should be doing it, And it's just it's really yourself that's putting that on you and causing yourself unneeded stress when you can just say, it's a different thing to say, I need you to do that tonight. And they say, oh, no, I can't. Right. Well, then then it is their, you've asked, now they're not working as hard as you. Right. But if you don't ask them and don't give them the chance to do it, you're kind of causing that for yourself. So,
how long have you known Amanda, and how long have you been business partners with her?
So I've known Amanda, I would say, for probably about 10 years. Closely known her for 7. We've been business partners since, I guess we started this, which would have been roughly around April or March of 2014 is kind of when we brought this idea to the table. Right. Yeah, so it's kind of since then. And we did heavy research and a hand in the design, both sitting at the computer. Oh, what do you think of that? What do you think of this? So, yeah.
Tell us what you love about this job and what you find maybe challenging or even a little frustrating sometimes.
What I love, obviously, about this industry is the fact of how many people you can meet. I think what a lot of people don't get is if you're a waitress or a bartender or even a cook, and you don't make that jump from this industry into another industry, and this might be your sole industry that you're in, so then you'll move up to general manager and whatnot. But the spin-off from the people you meet in these establishments is huge. I would say, just from my time in the bar industry, I probably generated, $7 to $10 million in revenue in other aspects of my life from the people I meet in this industry. So it's very valuable that way. Plus, also, you get to meet some pretty cool people and some cool stories and some inspiring people and, also some hard luck stories and, being involved in the community and helping out with charities and that sort of thing. So it's very rewarding in that aspect, especially nowadays where I've always been this way, but you can really see Kelowna starting to band together as a family and community and starting to cross-promote with each other, get multiple bars or businesses involved in the same charities, even if they're the same type of business. Yeah. It's no longer, they're our competition. It's more coming together and joining together to build a better business community. I guess the frustrations would be probably the turnover in staff, and especially because we're in Kelowna, we're a resort community. People come in and leave, and they fly in, in the summer, and then they leave in the winter. That is tough. And the industry we're in is typically one of, there's, just like construction, there's some substance abuse, there's some troubled people. Everybody has issues, whether you like it or not. CEOs of companies or mailroom employees, whatever. Everybody's got their issues. And I think because of the close-knitness of these establishments, you hear about their, troubles more so. It starts to become a part of the culture. and it can be quite toxic. So it's tough to find that happy medium and be able to control that, be able to have your leaders say, hey, let's talk about that some other time, rather than talking to your patrons, letting them know your business, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's one thing to say, hey, I'm having a bad day because my girlfriend, broke up with me or whatever, but then it's, there's a fine line between your whole life story and life's so bad and, oh, my boss he's really mean to me today and, I want you to not like him and like me. And then the next day, well, we want you to come and support our nice boss. And, it's pretty hard, right? So that's a frustration for me, for sure.
So what is one piece of advice you would give to someone just starting out in this business? Someone says, I want to run a bar. I want to run a restaurant. Would you tell them don't do it? Or is there some good advice you would give them?
Obviously, I'd say for sure you've got to follow your dreams if you want to. But one, go work in one. Right. Go work in one. Do your research. Start at the bottom or whatever. Start wherever you want to start, but learn all the jobs. Know what's going on. Know how to run it. Know how to keep your numbers in check. Hire the right people also. The right bookkeeper, the right accountant, the right chef. Then come up with a good concept, do your research of the demographic you're around, and then be hands-on. Meet your clientele, work the floor, touch the tables, be in the community. You can't just open it up and it's going to run itself. Right. It's just not going to. I feel, you got to tie into the community. You're not a big box store, and nor do you want to be. I honestly think the days of those places are over. Right. Even though there's some new ones coming in and stuff like that, the community just wants to support the establishments that are giving back to the community. Not so much in charity and that sort of stuff, because we all do it. We all have our charities, but where the owners, you see that the profit is coming back into the community, back into our local economy. That's what everybody wants to see. But to put yourself into the community, into events, get your name out there, meeting the people, that's the biggest thing, 100%.
I want to put you on the spot now. Can you name one person in Kelowna that you think is a fascinating person and you would love to see come on this show in the future?
I would have to refer Sheldon from Do Some Good. Okay. We just linked up with Do Some Good, and it's an organization that is linking charities and businesses together, and having you be able to come in, have a couple beer at FSH, take a picture of your bill, and then 2% of your bill goes to the charity of your choice if it's on the program. Right. So they have created that and are doing that, and he'd be a great guy to talk to. And that's in the IT aspect of it. So it would be a little bit different aspect of businesses, but he's definitely got his hands in a lot of stuff in Kelowna, and he's a Battleford boy from Saskatchewan.
So if someone wants to come to FSH, tell us about your hours of operation and how do we find you here?
If you're coming to FSH, we are downtown on St. Paul and Doyle. Our hours are during the week, Monday to Friday, 11 till close. In the off season, we do 10 p.m. But if there's people in here, we stay open, obviously, till midnight. Midnight is our closing hour. During the weekend, we're 10 a.m. till 12 midnight. We have brunch on the weekends, and you can find us on the internet, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
Thank you very much, Heith. I feel like I've learned something today, and we got to know you better on a personal level. So I want to thank you again for your time and for coming on the show.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure.